for only 50 cents each at Staples. Ends 8/24, in-store only, limit 10.
We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Hi, this is Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates. You might know me as the voice of the Blue Raiders, but I want to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Whether you're buying or selling, it's time to choose Chip. Do you have a growing family and need to upsize? Are you an empty nester now and need to downsize? Are you thinking of selling your current home but just worried you can't find something else? Well, it's time to choose Chip. I'm looking to be your trusted advisor in real estate. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates. Well, good morning and welcome into the Wednesday Roundtable here on WGNS. Chip Walters with you from Exit Realty, Bob Lamb & Associates, and the Blue Raider Network. And, you know, a lot of us have been staying up late watching the Olympic coverage from Paris. And today I thought we would just put a show together talking about the Olympics. And we've got three really terrific guests. Erin Hayes, the daughter of Dean Hayes. We're going to talk about Middle Tennessee's effect on the Olympics and the some of the Olympians that have come through during the Hayes era at Middle, if you will. We're going to talk to Tony Reyes, a Blue Raider grad who is working for NBC, and Teresa Walker from the Associated Press, who's covering women's basketball. And those latter two will be joining us from France, Tony from Paris and Teresa from Lille, where the women's basketball and men's basketball is taking place here in the early going. First, joining us from L.A., Lower Alabama, is Erin Hayes. And Erin, you know, when folks in our area here in Middle Tennessee think of the Olympics and Olympians, your late father immediately comes to mind, and that in itself is just a tribute to a great guy.
Well, thank you, Chip. Yeah, and Dad really enjoyed the Olympics, the Olympic experience, recognized the hard work that it took for the kids, the athletes, the individuals to get to the Olympics, and was always there to support them. In many instances, he was physically there. In other instances, he was just a phone call away. But the Olympics have been a significant part of our lives for a long time.
Now, if
when
I'm
you called
correct,
me, I started thinking about it.
Yeah.
And how far back we went.
And it goes back to, you know, to the 70s. I was looking, Mark Owen sent me a little bit of information on some of the early Olympians, and the first ones from Middle came in like 1972, which, you know, that was in Munich.
Yep. That was Oldfield. I knew. I started when you call. I started to think about, all right, who does Middle have in particular as a track Olympian? And first name on the list was Brian Oldfield, going back to 72. And I know I'm going to miss one in there, but then in like 76, we had Sheik Faye from the Gambia. We had Tommy Haynes, and then you roll forward into 92 and 96, where you had Dion, and then you had Dion Rose. Yep. And then you have, you know, Team Ghana in 96, where you had Albert and Christian, Tonko. I know I've missed somebody in there. And then you roll into, we had 2004, where we had Andrew Owusu, who's back again with Team Ghana.
He is back as a coach now for Ghana this year, right?
Yep, he's got their men's 4x1, and they've got a women's high jumper.
Gotcha.
So we're looking for them. And then, we had Stanley Gagbiki, Noah Akwu, both from Nigeria. Um, Noah was in one of the heats, um, was in the lane right next to Usain Bolt. So you had Bolt really tall, and you had really short Noah. Yeah, I know. And then you had Janet Mpamsa and John Mpama in Rio in 2016. I know I've missed somebody in there. It's going to be one of that Ghanaian relay team in um, 96,
Yeah.
2000, 2004, that window. But
Yeah.
yeah, so.
And this year there are three, Oliver Akintola, John Sherman, and Leone Bew, and all of them representing their home countries. Akintola from Nigeria. John Sherman has a Liberian ancestry, so it
Mhm.
works out for him to run for Liberia and be part of their 4x100 team. And Leone Bew, I think, comes from one of the more interesting countries, Papua New Guinea, which during the opening ceremonies, I learned that Papua New Guinea, there are 800 different language dialects spoken in Papua New Guinea. Did you know that?
That I didn't know. That's my fun fact for the day.
There you go. Now, if I'm correct, Dean was actually part of the coaching staff in Seoul in 1988. Is that right?
Yep, got my soul
Yep.
pin.
There you go. There you go. You got, and that is SEOUL, not SOUL. You, as far
Yep.
as your soul pin. But how many other Summer Olympics did he go to supporting his athletes?
In 76 was his first one. He went to Montreal,
Montreal.
and he did some, because that's where Tommy was, and he and Mom went up, and they had a chance to go into the Olympic Village as Tommy's aunt and uncle. So that was really neat, and got to meet Edwin Moses and Bruce Jenner, and Mom got to hold Jenner's gold medal because he won the decathlon. Um, but Dad
Does
was
your
doing
mom
some
still
reporting for the Tennessean.
does your mom still stay in touch with Bruce Jenner?
No, she does not. But Dad did.
Yeah.
Dad stayed in touch with Bruce. He was Bruce then, he's Caitlin now. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so we've got that. And then we did 88 when Dad was the jump coach, and that was the year that the US went 1, 2, 3 in the men's long jump. Because you had Carl Lewis, Mike Powell, and Larry Myrick. I did a little bit of my homework.
Yeah, you did.
um, Hollis Conway got the silver in the high jump that year, and he and Hollis were tight up until past. Um, so we did 88, and then Dad also in 96 in Atlanta, he was a horizontal referee. The horizontals are the long jump and the triple jump. And I remember seeing him as he, came out with the officials and sat on his little stool over on the far sidelines. And then in 2000, he still helped them, even though he may not have been there, because like Charlie Simpkins showed up and would train. Dwight Stones would show up and train over the years. And then in 2004, we as a family went to Athens, and we had um, Andrew was jumping, and the Ghanaian relay team, and there we were with our Ghana flags cheering Ghana on. Bless his heart, Andrew looked up the morning he was in qualifying. He looked up into the stands as we were going, "Yay, Andrew!" And we were waving our flags, and it finally resonated with him. And he looked up in the stands. He's like, "Oh my God, that's my family." And he just smiled and waved. He came up to the stands later that evening, and we were all there, and this couple sitting on the other side of us was like, "Who is that?" And we're like, "Oh, that's Andrew Owusu, Ghanaian triple jumper." And they're like, "Oh, can we get his autograph?" I'm like, "Sure." Grabbed the program, handed it over to Andrew. He signed it and handed it back. So we had that. 2004 was still very family. And then 2008 was in Beijing. And that was an opportunity for mom and dad to go back to Beijing after having been in Beijing in 89, 6 weeks after Tiananmen Square.
Wow.
And just to be able to see some of the differences and, what had changed, what was the same. But Beijing was a real treat for us also. So those are the 5 where dad physically went games, but his touch with Olympics and Olympic development started in the early 70s, not just with Oldfield, but also with boxing and some endurance training that he did.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. And in the couple of minutes we have left, it's really interesting, the dynamic. Everybody here, they're in front of their TV and it's Team USA all the way. And in your family, you have connections with all of these athletes representing numerous countries from around the world. And it does show that my pal, your dad, Dean Hayes, was truly a citizen of the world. And I'm so very proud to have been part of that, to know him and to experience that through him.
Well, he loved sharing it, and he adored you, Chip. He always loved the stories and the opportunity to talk with you, but also to share who he was and to make sure that the people around him got the support that they needed to contribute to the well-being of their families, their countries. How important it was to him that all these kids get an opportunity, and whether they stayed in the United States or they went back to their country of origin, their country of birth, when they went back, they still had an opportunity to make things better. And they left with a very good family experience and education experience, just a whole person experience.
Yep. Well, track and field will get cranked up this weekend and run all next week, because that's where it all started. It was athletics when on the track or on the Cinders or on the Appian Way or wherever it might have been, more than 2,000.
It was that marathon from Athens.
Yep.
It was that race from Athens to Marathon.
Yep. There you go. That's how it all began. But Coach Hayes will certainly be on our mind next week. And Aaron, thanks so much for spending a little bit of time and talking Olympics and reliving some great memories with your father.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right. Thanks a lot. Coming up next, we're going to be going to Paris, and Tony Reyes will be joining us. He's working with NBC and their coverage of the 33rd Olympiad. That's coming up next here on the Wednesday Roundtable on WGNS.
This is Stan Vaught. I'm a lot like you, a husband, father, farmer, auctioneer, and community supporter. I'm now a candidate for school board in the last cases, Walter Hill, Milton, Leanna, Oakland, and Siegel communities. I believe in community schools, vocational education, and getting education back to the basics. I'd appreciate your support for school board.
Please vote for Stan Vaught on Election Day, August 1st. Paid for by Stan Vaught for School Board, Stan Vaught Treasurer.
Hi, this is Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates. You might know me as the voice of the Blue Raiders, but I want to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Whether you're buying or selling, it's time to choose Chip. Do you have a growing family and need to upsize? Are you an empty nester now and need to downsize? Are you thinking of selling your current home but just worried you can't find something else? Well, it's time to choose Chip. I'm looking to be your trusted advisor in real estate. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates.
It's summertime and it's time to do more outdoors. But do you feel out of energy, lacking motivation and mental focus? It could be low testosterone. Low T affects millions of men and it happens naturally. The solution? Testosterone replacement therapy at Low T Center. I literally walk in, they check the level, and then I find out where I stand today. Right now at Low T Center, they are offering a free initial test. If you're over 30, schedule that visit at lowtcenter.com today.
Offer till July 31st. Terms and conditions apply.
French's, the name to trust. French's, depend on us. French's, a great selection Shoes and
That's French's Shoes and Boots, 1837 South Church Street in Murfreesboro.
It's a hard decision to make, knowing when to sell your home and move to Adams Place.
There's one couple here that I met, and they said it was a lifestyle that they didn't have at home. You have, like, every night dining at a fine hotel. You have the pool. It is so beautiful. Just so much to offer that you won't have in your own home. It's all right here.
Hi, this is Terry Deal at Adams Place. Call me for more information about Adams Place. Phone 615-904-9111. Adams Place.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by the law offices of John Day and AmeriCare Pest Control.
This is a paid legal ad.
You've probably heard it a million times. If you're injured, call a lawyer. And you probably haven't because you don't know how much it will cost, how long it will take, or even if you have a case. At the law offices of John Day, we provide a free initial consultation because we understand that folks don't want to pay a lawyer only to find out they don't have a case. If you think we can help, we do so on a contingency basis, which means we only get paid if you do. Seriously injured? Call me, John Day. For over 77 years, people have depended on WGNS to learn what's happening here at home. They still do. Now listen, Red Apple Days is this weekend in Auburn Town. That includes the Red Apple 5K Run, the Beauty Pageant, the Apple Bake Fest, the Red Apple Cruise In, and so much more. That's Red Apple Days in Auburn Town this weekend. And it benefits the Auburn Town Volunteer Fire Department. And learn more about local history. Come on over to the one-room Ransom Schoolhouse. Friends from the Rutherford County Historical Society will be there, and they'll answer your questions about local history. It's all free, including the coffee and donuts. That's 9 until noon this Friday at Ransom School. That's at 717 North Academy Street. Oh, the Rutherford County Library System is offering free computer classes. That's Monday afternoon at 3:30 and Tuesdays at 2:30. And they're at the Technology Engagement Center at 306 Minerva Drive. And those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
A heat advisory will go into effect this afternoon. A few spotty showers and thunderstorms at times this afternoon. Blend of clouds and sunshine develops, a high in the upper 90s. Tonight, mostly clear, low of 76. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS.
Currently, it's 75.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios. Take control of your account management and energy consumption with the MyMTE app. Download from the App Store and manage your account, improve your energy habits, and more. MTE, serving to make life better since 1936.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back into the Wednesday Roundtable. Chip Walters here from Exit Realty, Bob Lamb and Associates, and the Blue Raider Network, and really happy to be able to use technology to go halfway around the world and to Paris, France, to the site of the 33rd Olympic Summer Games. And Tony Reyes joins us. He lived here in Murfreesboro for a good long time after going to MTSU and graduating from the College of Media and Entertainment, and decorating himself with his Blue Raider gear, as he always does, for NBC and their fantastic coverage of the Olympics. And Tony, first of all, you're very gracious with your time, and thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you for having me, Chip.
Talk a little bit about, first of all, folks who don't know what a Steadicam is, tell them what that is and why you are one of the very, very best in the world at doing.
I'm one of the very best, but system. It's comprised of the vest that you wear, and then an arm that comes off of the vest, and then there's a sled. In theory, when you move, it should look like the camera is floating, so it stabilizes the camera.
So it has a gyroscope or something inside of it to help, something
Sometimes
similar.
they do.
Yeah, to help to stabilize it, and they'll actually see you in person more times than not. Titans game, if they see some crazy camera guy following Derrick Henry in the end zone, more times than not, that's going to be. And also, you typically will work a home pal Nathan Wallach, and normally homecoming, and you get some great video for us and all that. So you're a Steadicam operator, and you work all over the country, all over the world, and you need to find out that you're going to be working for NBC. Talk a little bit about how satisfying that was, and tell folks about your previous Olympic experience leading up to here we are in France now.
Yeah, so I did the Tokyo Olympics, the 2020, but they were in 2021 due to COVID. And I was with a company called, and they supply the world feed, which is oftentimes a lot of the times what we see at home, through NBC. And I was doing men's basketball, and then I got picked up to do that with NBC, and luckily they called me again to do Paris. My colleagues, get it, and I'm very thankful I'm here. So, yeah,
that's terrific. Yeah, I will say, growing up, ABC was the gold standard with Jim and the Olympic coverage they did. But I'll say this: NBC has just taken it to a whole new level with what they are doing. It is so watchable, and now, of course, with streaming, everything on Peacock, and Mike Tirico never sleeps. He's always on my screen for 24 hours a day. It's the amount of product that.
Yeah, it's I'm really proud to work with these guys. It seems like everyone around me, wants to be here, and they like working hard, and they're a top tier, very talented person, and then the people really take pride in delivering what you just said, which is the best possible, highest production value type thing to the viewer, to entertain people. I don't know. Yeah, it's wonderful. And in fact, we're doing something called Team Live View here. We're using those Live View backpacks. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them.
Right.
To send a wireless signal. So they're calling it sort of an experimental type thing, where it's 5 teams of us, but they've loaded us up with a bunch of really nice gear. We have a couple of cameras, a bunch of lenses, some lights, an audio person, and I think it's a means to get content back to the U.S., like pre-recorded content, very, very fast, like literally from a cafe in Paris. So we've been kind of working through that, and I think we're getting pretty successful at it. Day 3 right now, so it's pretty cool.
So are you doing everything with your Steadicam stuff, or are you actually using just shooting with a normal camera some?
So we have like a normal ENG type body. It's a Sony 750, and then I have a wide lens and a narrow lens, and then I have a Sony FX6 with a wide lens and a narrow lens, and we kind of get to choose what will work best between us and our producer. So like we'll kind of walk into a location and say, oh, this is Steadicam. It's a simple 2-person interview, and we'll be on sticks. And we have a little Ronin with us too, for getting like up into the audience, like right next to a family member type thing. So it's at first it was a little overwhelming because I came in and we go into where they start issuing you equipment, and they kept stacking cases on top of cases. And I was like, what is this?
Hey, because at this point you're thinking, okay, if we're going to be out roaming around, it needs to be small, and they keep stacking cases up there for you.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Now, we've seen a lot of, obviously, it seems NBC has been very intentional about viewer experience this time around. We've seen like one of the most played clips over the first few days was the reaction shot of Snoop Dogg up in the stands with, I think it was a swimmer's wife or something, and so it's very immersive what you guys are doing, and it seems very intentional on the part of NBC to do that.
I'm really glad you said that, because that's exactly what is happening, and I'm glad you're seeing that, because that's what they want.
Well, and that translates well too to social media, as well as they can pop those clips out on social, as well as what's going on the broadcast channels.
Yes. Oh yeah. It seems like a pretty, big 3-pronged attack. I mean, there's like the broadcast, all the different socials. Yeah. I'm glad you said that. That's exactly what they're going for.
Well, good. I mean, it at least it's catching my eye a little bit. How soon before the games did you find out you were going to go, and then kind of take us through your preparation of getting yourself ready to go over there?
So, I think I found out in February via email. So yeah, of course, that was very exciting. And I started prepping my equipment probably, a month in advance. But then also, like, just everything I was going to pack and everything I was going to bring with me. It was kind of tough to make decisions, because we are, a part of this experimental thing. So even, you would ask a question, what am I going to need? Rain gear? Should I bring this cart? Do I need this extra, Steadicam part? And they couldn't always give us an answer, because we're figuring it out, So, yeah, it's just been a process. Yeah.
So did you know what your assignments were going to be beforehand, or has that changed once you've gotten on site in Paris?
To give you an idea, so we did the opening ceremonies, and me and my utility were at the very end at the Trocadero, and we were mainly following U.S. athletes and getting reactions and getting clusters of athletes. That was our assignment for the live broadcast, for NBC's broadcast. I woke up, I think I got back to my room around 4 a.m. and I woke up to a text around 10 saying, we have an emergency. We need a Steadicam operator at a studio in the museum, like right now.
Wow.
So, yeah, me and my utility, went to this IBC where we're kind of based out of. It's the International Broadcast Center. Got all of our gear together and just took off downtown. And I walked into a studio, and I actually was using another Steadicam operator's gear, but I put on my vest. And I was just talking to him. And they said, hey, Tony, they want to go do a hit right now. And I was like, okay. And I kind of putting on the vest. I'm like, what camera number am I? You're camera 43. And then even, after we did a few live hits, I was like, what are we even on? What are we brought? Is this Peacock or is this NBC? No, it's actually NBC. So and I think it's the nature of doing news and something, of this magnitude. There are just so many moving parts, and you have to be very, very flexible, but it's very exciting too. I think I kind of have fun with it,
Yeah. Tony Reyes, we're talking to him from Paris at the in the NBC media compound as part of the NBC broadcast over there. He is a Steadicam operator. Now let's talk about the opening ceremonies. And you were at the Trocadero, which is, once the boat parade ended, the Trocadero was kind of where the main part of the show happened. And so I have to ask you, were you able to breathe in Celine Dion's performance?
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah, that was incredible. And, we didn't know anything of what was going on either. They kept it very under wraps, who the artists were, where the performances were going to be. And I guess it was for security purposes. But when those lights hit the Eiffel Tower, like, we didn't even know there was going to be that was a venue. And we were standing in the Trocadero, and all the lights went to, I think, just under the rings, and she just started singing. It was, I think everyone's, the hair raises up on your arms, like, goosebumps. It was incredible. I mean, I think there were people crying. I know there were, so yeah, that was something else. That was very special.
Yeah, well, Kelly Clarkson was crying on television, and I'm sure some of the reaction you were getting from athletes on the Trocadero, that they were very emotional too.
Yes, they really were. That was very special to be a part of.
Now,
Absolutely.
is there any one particular sport that you are tied to between now and the next 13 days, or do they have you on the run all the time?
So we're actually very connected to Maria Taylor's late night show.
Okay.
We're essentially like a field crew for her, doing pre-recorded stuff and going and doing interviews with her. So that's really my main assignment.
Gotcha.
That's what it turned into. Yeah.
So you're actually, if I'm hearing correctly, you're probably doing much more human interest interview type stuff than actual game coverage or event coverage than you did maybe the last time out.
Yeah, exactly. Because in Beijing, I was just in their main studio A for their primetime show, which that's a little more normal for me, and you kind of know, or you're at least in the same spot.
Right.
This is it's wild, man. It just feels like you're being shot out of a cannon.
Now, how are you?
How
do they get you all around? Like if they say, "Okay, we need you at the museum," which, by the way, I think I saw a photo of you at the museum, sitting on your rear end, leaning up against the wall, trying to get a little rest. But do they move you all around like with golf carts, or do you have drivers, or how does that happen?
So there's like a whole, they call it, I think it's either general transportation or ground transportation. And I think it's for all of the like broadcasters. But what they have to do is they have to like route you. Like someone gets a car for you, and then you go meet where that car is, and the car takes you right to, the museum today, or, the Eiffel Tower, wherever. So it's a bit of a process. I would say from where we are to do almost anything, like we have a call time tomorrow of 10 a.m. We're going to leave here at 9 a.m. just in case there's traffic. It's going to take us 45 minutes no matter what.
What has been the most impressive thing you've seen so far in moving around Paris?
The Celine Dion performance, it's hard to compete with that. And the surprise too. And then also the light show that was connected to that. I don't know how much of that was on the broadcast because I didn't have program return. So it's that. We also went and filmed up on the Eiffel Tower. That was incredible. It was extremely chaotic. So that's one reason I didn't really get to soak it all in. But that was like a bucket list type item. So it's things are moving so fast, it's kind of hard to digest things, I guess I would say.
Well, we've got about a minute or so left, and I'm guessing as soon as you get back to the United States that you have to get ready for Notre Dame football, because you were part of the NBC telecast last year for Notre Dame football.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was Big Ten, because I did do some Notre Dame
there you go.
Before, but the Big Ten primetime show on Saturday night. So yeah, we're already getting travel requests for that, and we're setting up our travel for that. Yep.
But we hope to see you at a Blue Raider game this year. But if we don't, we know that we're going to see you and your Blue Raider gear wherever you might be around the country with whether it's the Olympics or with college football. Tony, thanks so much for taking the time and giving us a little insight of what's going on at the Olympics.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, Chip. It's good to talk to you.
Good deal. Oh, by the way, anything you want to shout out to your beautiful wife, Kristen, and your baby?
I love you, and I'll see you when you join me here in a couple weeks. So, yeah.
All right. Oh, that's a little breaking news right there. Kristen and the babe are heading over to Paris. All right. Yep. Tony Reyes joins us today. We're going to take a break. Be back with more on the Wednesday Roundtable right after this, here on WGNS.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to health care. And that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE, 855-51-BIBLE.
If you can dream it, Fair Construction can turn it into reality. Shop local, Fair Construction Company. I'm Ron Hall. Investing in property can be nerve-wracking. It does not have to be. Fair Construction offers high-quality craftsmanship, quick response, and attention to detail. Our goal is to keep your expenses low while focusing on our attention on high-quality services. I'm Ron Hall. Shop local. Let our family business help you. Fair Construction Company.
At Bud's Tire Pros, we sell all major brands of tires, and we invite you to stop by today for that next set of tires. Or maybe you need us to check out your vehicle before you head out of town. We offer everything from brakes to batteries, alignments, and more. No appointments necessary, just stop on by.
I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstirepros.tn.com.
Hey, we get it. Life's busy, and the last thing you need to worry about is where your trash goes and how much it's going to cost you. With Middle Point Landfill, Rutherford County residents receive free disposal.
Mike Klassen with Middle Point Landfill.
We pride ourselves in making your waste one less worry. Take it to the curb, and we'll take it from there.
Middle Point Landfill is an environmentally safe, economical, and reliable solution for solid waste for Rutherford County.
Learn more about us at middlepointlandfill.com.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back into our final segment of today's Wednesday Roundtable as we have been talking the 2024 Olympics in Paris. We had Erin Hayes, Dean Hayes' daughter, talking about all the Olympians that have been throughout the world representing Middle Tennessee. And we had Tony Reyes, who's working for NBC, and now we have a veteran of Olympic coverage. That's Teresa Walker, who is with the Associated Press, and she joins us from Lille, France, and she'll be moving on to Paris and basically assigned to women's basketball, I guess, but we're going to let her explain that. But Teresa, thanks so much for spending some time and finding a window of when we could, our time zones could match up and have a few minutes together.
Well, my pleasure, Chip. And I'll say this, it's interesting because thank goodness for the phone, because I've got the time for New York, I've got the time for Paris, I've got the time for the central time zone so that I can tell when, what time it is. Can I call my husband? Can I talk to him? It's not easy. And just, I had to get corrected too, because I was calling it the same thing. It's Lille. Think Ile with an L in front of it, Lille, France. So we're very close to the Belgian border. Today was an off day. Tuesday. I'm losing track of what day it was. So for me, it's Tuesday, and it's an off day because they're doing, they're playing men's games at the Pierre Mauroy Stadium, and so they're alternating. So Saturday there were 4 men's games. Sunday they were 2 and 2. Sadly, I had the second and fourth game, and then Monday was a 4-game day. Nigeria women made history. They became the first African nation to win a game in the Olympics in 20 years. Ironically, since Nigeria did it back in the in 2004 in Athens, and then the U.S. women capped the night in a rematch of the 21 silver game for gold, and beat the 21 silver medalist Japan. And they whooped up on them and took care of that pretty good. But those are 13-hour days when you've got a 4-game day. So then I get a off day, go do some laundry, run into somebody that helped us find the bus which at 12:30 in the morning in the dark, it's very important to get on the right bus back to your hotel and do some laundry, because those things, you can't pack enough for the Olympics. You just can't. So, but it's fun with the Associated Press. I tweeted out some pictures from during the games, and we're right on the mid-court line in the press tribune, and we're on the front row of the press tribune, right at mid-court. So, it's a good seat. I'll just say that. That said, Pierre Moreau Stadium is massive. They play football inside. They've got half of that place cut off. They've got practice courts there, so that teams can do shoot-arounds in there to warm up before games. They're going to be doing handball when we relocate to Paris on August 5th. Handball takes over, and Jay Gibson, who has worked Predators games, Grizzlies games on the TV side, running equipment for TV, he's saying to do handball. And I'll be going back to Paris, darn it, for a week of the elimination round. So it's very interesting. Tomorrow, I'm lucky. The two women's games, 11 o'clock local time, and then 1:30, I think. So and then the U.S. men play, they get the rematch with South Sudan. It's the final game of the night. I've got a 4-game day on Thursday. No offense, gentlemen. I think it'll be Thursday. Literally, it's like, where do I have to be next? What is next? When is my next tip-off? When's my bus? Those are the things that you live by when you're doing an Olympics. And it's literally, you almost feel like, Mr. Magoo. It's like, where am I? Where do I need to be now? You don't look at the big picture. Because, as somebody, a colleague in the industry who's doing their first Olympics says, do you have any tips? And I said, yes, treat it like eating an elephant, one bite at a time. Because if you look at the whole thing, you're going to go, it's like, it'll stun you into speechlessness, because it is massive. And, I didn't go to the opening ceremony because I was already up in Lille. We had practices the day before. I did a story on how teams bust up the U.S., men and women. They're staying in Paris. So they're actually coming up to Lille for games. And then they'll be, they don't have to relocate when it's time for the elimination rounds. Everybody else took buses. And, the Associated Press, my colleague Doug Feinberg, had a story on how the Nigerian women's basketball team weren't allowed on the boat for the Nigerian delegation. And then I was at their practice the next morning. They didn't make it back. Their bus didn't get back into Lille until literally minutes before their practice time was expired. And they've got it scheduled. They've got 2 different gyms at one place. They've got another gym, because there's so many teams in this part of the group play. 3 groups for the women. I think it's the same for the men. 4 teams, each group 12 teams, all trying. And here's the thing, Chip, in the first round of group play, 4 of the top 6 ranked teams in the world lost. So for people thinking that the U.S. women are going to just waltz to to history with an 8th straight gold medal, right now they're tied with the U.S. men, who back in the 30s or so won 7 straight gold medals. Well, the world's coming. I mean, Nigeria pulled off a big, stunning win. France, they took Canada, who is 6th in the world, and they held them to 2 points in the second quarter last night. Or yesterday. And FIBA said that had never been done in an Olympic game, male or female. And France did that yesterday. Now, granted, they have the home crowd advantage big time as the host nation, but this is some fun basketball. I'll just say, it's a little different because we're in group play, and you've got the point totals matter. How much you beat a team by matters, and which is why the U.S. they won. It was a much bigger difference against Japan this time around than 3 years ago. So, but I don't think the U.S. is going to have a problem advancing to elimination play, shall we say?
Yeah, and it's kind of like what we've kind of gotten used to with the net in women's college basketball and men's college basketball, because point differentials do matter. The international game does have more freedom of movement, that kind of thing. But I think one of the things that the U.S. team did is they kind of quieted down, all of the quote unquote outrage that people had of Caitlin Clark not being on the team. This team really performed well against Japan.
They did. And Japan, I mean, let's give Japan credit. I mean, they are a good team. They know that their edge against the US is making threes, and that's what kept them, made that gold medal game 3 years ago tighter than I think anyone expected. But I mean, think about this. Brittany Griner is coming off the bench for this team. Their front court is Asia Wilson, who, just a mere quiet double-double. And you've got Brianna Stewart, and she was close to a double-double. And Brittany Griner, I think she was 1 rebound off of a double-double coming off the bench. And there was a great picture that's floating around. A lot of people thought, why is Diana Taurasi on this team as she tries to make history and become the first person to win, I think, a 6th straight gold medal? Her and Sue Bird, the Yukon group, they got 5 in Japan. Well, there was a great picture of Diana. She's got the ball way up in the air, head and shoulders above the Japanese defender. I mean, Sabrina Ionescu, this is her Olympic debut, and she got knocked to the floor, when she was trying to get around a screen, and got called on the foul. And I mean, it's physical. I mean, this is a physical game. In France, I'm sorry, no, another team, they're starting to run a little bit together, but there's one country that has a pair of sisters who play in the WNBA, and one girl, taken out by her New York Liberty teammate. She's trying to get around a screen, and she ends up getting knocked, takes a shoulder into the jaw. And I mean, she's got a concussion. I can't remember if it's Belgium or Germany. I think Germany, because Germany, won its debut game. And I think they beat Belgium, if I'm remembering correctly, because yes, they do run together a little bit. She had to be helped off the court. For a minute there, I was worried. I remember Mike Conley, when he played with the Grizzlies, taking an inadvertent elbow to the face, breaking his orbit bone and needing surgery and a plate. This girl, she put her hands to her face. I mean, she was in pain. They walked her off the court into the locker room. She was wobbly. And there was another, Kalia Carpenter, and I'm probably butchering her first name, a U.S. player making her Olympic debut, played 51 seconds until she got back in with about 5 minutes or so left in the game. She took a hard hit and went to the locker room. I mean, it's physical. And these are, let's put it this way. The rest of the world has been working to catch up to the U.S. since they started their run in Atlanta with the dream, the women's so-called dream team. I call them the dream team in '96 with Dawn Staley in that group, Venus Lacey and Teresa Edwards, etc. It was an amazing group of women, Lisa Leslie, etc. Well, they've been trying to meet the bar that the U.S. keeps raising, and to circle back around. Yes, this starting 5 could easily be playing the bench for the U.S., and you could probably take gold and silver, and it would be a heck of a game. I'm just saying, because again, Brittany Griner's coming off the bench. So it's like, for all the people saying Caitlin Clark should be there, well, who do you take off?
Exactly. Now, you are not making your Olympic debut. Have you been in France long enough now to compare and contrast as your other locations that you've been to, and how does the French experience stack up?
Well, this is my 7th Olympics, 3rd straight summer games, doing women's basketball. I'm gonna say it's interesting. I'm actually getting, I'm actually off today. When I was at the 2012 Olympics in London, I did not get a day off. In Rio, I was based on a military camp. My mom was worried, are you going to be safe down there? I was literally guarded by men with tanks, guns, and wire fencing. I could not have been safer, but I took showers that were cold for 3 straight weeks because we were in military housing. So each experience is a little different. Really thought about going over to Belgium today. When we were in Rio, the one day off I had in Rio, we went to see Christ the Redeemer. Mm-hmm. I mean, tough to beat that experience. When I was in South Korea, we went to the DMZ. And so each game has its uniqueness. In Atlanta, I was covering rowing, flat water canoe, and kayak, and ate sausage, biscuits, and hot dogs for 3 straight weeks while we were at work. The food, here, I'll just say this: they have fresh fruit. We have a dedicated concession stand, and Vive la France. We have cappuccino, hot chocolate, cafe, milk. So it's like I can make myself coffee to keep me going through those 13-hour days. And I am a new coffee convert, Chip. I started drinking coffee 2 years ago, and I am just living on coffee. My hotel has a machine where I press a button and I can get cafe au lait at the press of a button. Oh my, I may have to get one of those things when I get home.
That's going to be, it's hard to believe that the hours and the miles that you've put in, that you just started drinking coffee 2 years ago. That's a whole nother show for down the road. I have to ask you, were you able to see the opening ceremonies either in person or on television?
Watched half of them in my room in Lille on TV, had gone to dinner. And when you get a chance to go to dinner in the Olympics, you take it because, luckily my hotel has a nice breakfast buffet, but you're so busy during the day. Once you get to the arena, it's tough to eat. So I watched, I'm not sure exactly where I got in. I saw some of the dancing. I saw the thing that has been compared to the Last Supper. No, study your Greek and Roman mythology, folks. The world's a little bit older, goes past, there was BC, AC, and, I think Dionysus, the god of feasting or whatever, Bacchanalia, party and hardy, baby. I think he was the BC era, but luckily I studied some of that, so I knew that. I wish, watching it on French TV, Chip, it would have been nice if they had identified some of the people, because I was following along on social media. Oh, that's Rafa. Wait, yeah. What is Serena Williams doing in the boat? I mean, okay, well, she did win a lot of French Opens. So it was like when you're watching it in a foreign language, it's really challenging. But watching Celine Dion, watching that laser show from the Eiffel Tower, I mean, I have envy. My colleague is covering beach volleyball at the base of the Eiffel Tower. He gets the best venues when you're covering beach volleyball. Copacabana at Rio. I mean, he was near one, I think Big Ben or something like that in London. He's got the best gig, I think, of any of us with AP.
Well, Tony Reyes, who was on with us just a moment ago, he was on the Trocadero when the light show went off and Celine Dion was singing. But the best gig, your seniority should have had you covering surfing in Tahiti, Teresa. I'm just saying.
That would be a good gig. I can put my feet in the sand, write my story with a cool beverage in hand. But that said, a couple of days ago when the U.S. men played, I'm standing right next to LeBron James. And then I'm asking a question to Kevin Durant about the differences between, and fed that quote to a colleague, Jenna Fryer, who did a story comparing and contrasting COVID times of Tokyo and Beijing with the fans are back. I mean, that arena was packed for the men's game, and 27,000 people. And as KD put it, I mean, you can see, and Adam Silver, I mean, he and Roger Goodell, they're trying to grow their leagues, into worldwide games. You can see it in the stands. The jerseys are, the U.S. jerseys are. In fact, I talked to a French professional player while doing my laundry, and he grew his favorite player, Dennis Rodman, because he focuses on defense and rebounding. So it's come on, I'm covering basketball and pitching in on the men. I've got a pretty cool gig too.
Yeah, you do. No question about it. She is Teresa Walker, and she is simply the best. She covers everything Titans, Predators, college athletics in the state of Tennessee, and you can catch her on Twitter and the other socials. And she has carved out 15, 20 minutes of time in beautiful Lille, France, and she'll be moving on to Paris. Teresa, thanks so much for taking the time. It's been wonderful, and best of luck, and stay safe over there. Okay.
My pleasure. And I will say this: there's plenty of there's lots of police everywhere I look, so I feel very safe.
Great. That's good to hear. All right. That's going to wrap it up for us today. Our Olympic show. If you missed any of this, it's on the podcast section of WGNSradio.com. Next week, we're going to move to Tuesday, and we'll be live with Coach Derek Mason out at Blue Raider football practice, as they'll be a week into fall camp, and we'll join you live from there and have a lot of interviews for you there. So that's it for today's Roundtable. Stay tuned here with a lot more coming up on the Big G, WGNS.
Portions of our programming have been pre-recorded. The Good Neighbor Network, WGNS, Murfreesboro, Smyrna, flagship station for MTSU Sports. Courthouse clock time, 10 o'clock.